Hello, Catherine. And Jill, are you there? Are you going to join us today?
Why, yes, but I was just trying to get some
What are you
food in
eating?
my mouth.
Toast and peanut butter?
Yeah.
That's a great breakfast. I have that all the time.
Hmm.
Well, you go ahead and have your breakfast. I'm going to do the form up through move number 7, and then Catherine's going to do it. And then if you're done with your toast by that time, then you can do it. All right.
All right.
Okay, from the beginning. Okay, Catherine. Okay, good. Catherine, come up closer to the camera so I can see you. Oh, because I can see your feet, but I can't see your head.
That's okay.
Yeah.
My feet are more, my feet are more important for Tai Chi.
I like to see your face. Okay, so I'm sure that both of you probably watch a lot of MMA matches, right? You watch a lot of kung fu matches. Watch
Oh
these
yeah,
guys
sure,
beat each other
sure.
up, don't you? Okay, good. You will notice that at the beginning of every match, the ref brings the two fighters together and says, and they say the same thing in boxing matches. He says, protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves if you want to, and then you start the match. Why do they say protect yourself at all times? Because you can get hurt, right? This is not, these kinds of fights are not all-out fights. They're tougher than a sparring match, a lot tougher, but they're not all. You can't kick somebody in the balls. You can't punch him in the back of the head. You can't give him a rabbit punch into the kidneys, right, and put him in the hospital. You can't break his back. So they are not all-out fights. Nevertheless, they're tough enough that someone can get hurt or maimed for the rest of their life if they don't protect themselves. One of the major things you have to do, depending on what sport you're dealing with, but it's actually true for all the combat sports, is you must protect your knees and you must protect your elbows. Those are vulnerable joints. All right? Everybody sort of knows about the knees because lots of folks have problems with their knees. They don't think about the elbows so much. So today I wanted to talk just a little bit about the elbows. There's two things you need to do in Tai Chi all the way through the form. One is you need to keep a little flex in your elbows. You don't hyperextend. If you hyperextend, you're just begging for an injury. It takes less than 20 pounds of pressure to break an elbow. It's very easy to break an elbow. Just not that anybody's trying to break your elbow, it just happens, right? By accident, really. So you just train yourself not to do this. All right? I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. All right? You keep some flex in your elbow at all times. The second thing you need to do is keep the point of your elbow pointed toward the floor. So even if I'm doing a movement like this, where I'm going way up, my elbows are pointed at the floor. They're not like this. There's another reason to do that. That's all wasted effort. When you raise your elbows, feel this. Now do this with me because you can feel this. Feel the energy in your trunk, especially in your back. And then lift your elbows. Can you feel the energy go up your back? And it comes up under your chest and into your shoulders. Oh, it's exhausting just to do that. That's called raising your chi. You're literally raising the chi in the body up into this area of the body. And it does several things, all of which are bad. For one, it presses into your diaphragm and makes it difficult to breathe. You can't get a deep breath because your diaphragm is being pushed upward. The second thing is it's going to pressure your heart. So it's not good. Not good for your heart, not good for your blood circulation. So even when you raise your hands, you don't raise your elbows and your shoulders. You don't do this if you can avoid it. You can still raise your hands, you just don't do that with it. All right? Makes sense? All right? When I do this movement, My hands are going up, but not my shoulders, not my elbows, and not my chi. So almost everyone, when they begin Tai Chi, has a problem with that. Because, of course, you don't exactly understand the body culture of Tai Chi. And so you're sort of faking it for a few years until you really sort of get it. But this is something you can pay some attention to. Watch yourself. Now, I'm going to copy something that Catherine just did. All right? And I want you to watch the left arm. This is a right-handed form. But that doesn't mean the left side of the body is not important. It is important. All right? Watch. Oh, you can do that with one hand. But when you do it with both hands, it's going to be a lot stronger. All right? Watch. It's called splitting. Inside you're splitting. It's like snapping your fingers. All right? Now, let me do something that Catherine just did. I want you to watch my left arm, and especially my elbow. I couldn't even do it exactly like her. I'm so programmed to do it the other way. All right, so what was Catherine doing? One, she was hyperextending her left elbow as she made that sweep. That means for the extent of that hyperextension, her left side of her body is really vulnerable, particularly that elbow. And Tai Chi is largely a wrestling art. You can't afford to have something hyperextended because somebody just, I don't mean that they would do it on purpose, but just in the rough and tumble of a sparring match, you might get hurt. The second thing is, she is not expressing the correct Shin Yi.
Yeah.
Right? What do I mean by Shin Yi? Well, it just means your intention, what your martial intention is, what the application is. This movement from here to here is two separate movements. And you have to express each of them. So let me just demonstrate that. Here's one. Here's the second. Those are two separate movements. If you just go like this, you're completely skipping over the first one. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is that Catherine knows this, because we've been over this before. You don't want to develop a bad habit. In Chinese, it's called a Mao Bing. Mao Bing, what is a habit? People think habits are bad. Well, they can be bad. But habits are there for a reason. Habits are there because they save you time and energy.
Yeah.
No, they do. I mean, if you think about all the habits that you have during the day, everything, half the stuff I do is habitual. It's like I've developed a way to brush my teeth. I don't have to reinvent brushing my teeth every time I walk into the bathroom in the morning. All right? I basically just do the same thing. All right? How I take my shower is basically the same shower every morning. All right. It saves you a lot of time and energy. The problem is when you become unconscious of your habit and the habit no longer accomplishes what you're trying to accomplish. Then it becomes a mobbing, it becomes a bad habit. So when you do this same thing over and over and over, it's easy. A habit's easy. It's easier. And that's good. But the fact that now you're doing something because it's easy, even though it's incorrect, that's bad. So you have to be aware of this all the time. And the problem with Catherine is she's getting too good. No, Catherine, you are. You're a very promising student. You're getting too good to maintain a bad habit. So you need to stop and realize, oh yeah, 1, and now 2. Watch from the side. 1, 2.
Yeah, while I was doing it, and I did it also yesterday, actually, I was thinking this is wrong, but at the same time, I couldn't really know exactly what I was doing wrong. It's so frustrating. I worked on the part 6 yesterday afternoon,
Yeah.
and I was kind of happy at the end of my half an hour work because I got something, and at the same time, I'm losing that. Eee!
Yes, I know it drives you crazy.
You have to pay attention to everything, not forget any detail. I mean, it's just that it's work. It's work.
It's a lot of work. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like sailing. You have to be attentive to everything, every detail, every second.
Okay, you're a sailor. You're a sailor. So am I. Okay, when you're learning to sail, sailing to me is simpler than this, but it's still complicated enough. What kind of boat have you got?
I have a small sailboat.
Okay, so a small little day sailor or something, right? Okay.
I mean, no, we sometimes go for like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So you've got a little bit bigger boat. Um, you've got the boat. I'm assuming it's got a keel, right? So it's big enough boat, it's got a keel. You've got a boat, you've got a keel, maybe you've got a trim tab. You've got the main, you've got the jibs or the Genoa. You've got the wind, you've got the this, you've got the this, you have to balance all that. You have to balance all that in order to make the boat work well, in order for it not to be dangerous.
Exactly.
A boat, if it's well handled, is beautiful. And even in a little bit of weather, it's beautiful and it's safe. But if you've got somebody at the helm who has no idea what they're doing, you can be in real trouble real quick.
Yeah. It's also, you have to be attentive. You can't just let your guard just get off. You have to be here in the moment all the time. It's why I'm referring to Tai Chi. You have to be all the time here and not somewhere else. I mean,
That's
not
exactly
even like
right.
for 1 second.
That's exactly right. And when you're doing Tai Chi, Tai Chi is about interacting with the world, really. And we don't have other people here to push hands with. Nevertheless, when you do the form, you are imagining there's a person there, and 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 there's a person there. There's one right behind you. There's 8 people around you, and you're interacting with those people. So in China, they call Tai Chi shadow boxing. You're shadow boxing. Well, where's the shadow? It's in your mind, right? this is really complicated. It truly is. Actually doing it, once you truly get this, doing it is very simple. But it literally takes years to get to that point. It's like playing the piano. I don't play the piano, but I love to listen to piano. So I have my favorites that I listen to. I was listening to a Russian guy play one of, not Shostakovich. Anyway, he's playing a very complex, very difficult piece. My God, he just made it seem so simple. This piece, it's the Rachmaninoff. It's the Rachmaninoff Third Piano Concerto. It's 42 minutes long. And it's got a whole bunch of notes in those 42 minutes. It's all in his head. And it's in his body.
Yeah.
And it's so much in his body that he doesn't have to think about the technique anymore. What he's thinking about is his own emotion and his own feeling for what the music means to him. Well, that makes it a wonderful experience to, in fact, I'll send you guys the link to this. Take 45 minutes and listen to this sometime, and he's very, very good. But my God, to get to that level, you're talking about 20 years of hard work to get to that level. Maybe 30 years of hard work, right? The advantage is not that you've learned to play the piano. Sure, that's great. What the real advantage is you've developed yourself. It doesn't matter what you're really doing. What matters is the development. So Tai Chi and Qigong, in a certain way, they don't matter. What matters is that you've gone through the process of developing yourself using this particular path. Every path goes up to the top of the mountain. But you got to pick a path. You got to pick one path or another. All right? You can pick Tai Chi, you can pick piano, you can pick bookkeeping, you can pick whatever it is you want to do. And maybe you can pick, maybe if you're really talented and you have a lot of time, you can pick 2 or 3 paths. But usually you can only pick one. Annie asked me once, and some other people have asked me, because I've been doing this since 1986. Why, of all the things you could pick to do in life, why did you pick Tai Chi? Because consciously, when I started in 86, consciously I didn't think, well, I'm going to pursue this and climb the mountain and be a teacher. You know, I didn't think about all that. I just thought about going to class and having some fun. All right? Why did you decide to really do this? And there's just a really simple answer. Because I started when I was 36 years old in 86. And about 8 years later in 94, I realized I was 44 years old. And I had never done anything all the way down to the roots and really taken it as far as I could take it. And I was 44 years old already. And I realized, well, I'm not 44 anymore. I will be 73 next year. And next year is coming up real quick. I realized if I didn't pick something and do it, my life would go by and I would never have really done that anywhere with anything. And that just didn't seem like a good thing to do to me. So it was like, well, you know, I like this. I like what I'm doing. And I'm really fortunate that I had found Master Zhang, who had emigrated from China and was a very high level teacher, the highest level teacher in the United States without any, and I didn't like go seek him out. I just found him by accident. So I had this incredible opportunity to work with someone who truly understood this, not just up here, but in his body. And unlike me, he was not a big talker. Partly because he didn't have much English, but even in Chinese, he was not a big talker. What he was a doer. And he was very, very good at demonstrating. Most students didn't see him. They appreciated him, but they didn't see his teaching. It was in his body. So we would be having a class, right? I remember during the first couple of years, we'd be having a class, and he'd be doing something and demonstrating. Right? Maybe just an exercise like this. And I was watching him, and I wasn't watching his face or his hands. I was watching his belly, because it was obvious that's where the center was. What were the other students doing? Oh, look, some birds. Oh, there's a little dog. Oh, there's some kids over there. They weren't paying attention. I remember once in class, he was giving us a lecture, and then he stopped in the middle of the lecture, and he went, "Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. This is gold." It's a Chinese phrase. This is gold. What I'm giving you is gold, solid gold. Pay attention. And everybody loved him. But he told me once, after he retired, right, he told me once, of the hundreds of students that he only had 2 real students. 2. Right? Out of all the hundreds of students who came to him over the years, 2 students. 2 people who paid attention. And how do you pay attention? You just make the decision that this is what you're going to do, if you really want to do it in that depth. So pay attention. 1, 2. Now, if you're going to relax into it, but you've got to get this energy, like scooping. It's not this. It's this. What are you doing? I was just explaining how you have to keep a little flex in your elbows at all times. All right? What you're doing is attacking someone who has forgotten to keep some flex in their elbow. Boom. Right? They're coming in here, maybe they're going to push you, right? And they're out there very stiff. I'm going to grab them by the wrist, and this blue thing is the elbow. If his elbow is stiff, that's all it takes to break it. That's something good to know, Jill.
I actually knew that one already
You knew that one, huh?
because I was listening at one point.
Okay, let's go on to let's look at move number 6 again for a moment. Okay. I want to look at the last part of that, the last 3 figure eights. And I say 3 figure eights. Watch me do the last part of this. Just watch it, all right? Would you have seen that underlying that all that motion, there was a figure 8 repeated 3 times? It's very hard to see at the beginning. Figure 8. Figure 8. Figure 8. Right? The first figure 8 is a very classic kind of figure 8. You know, just like we do when we're doing exercises. The second one is kind of extended. Right? The third one is really extended. But underlying the extension, it's the same thing. Now, this is very good information for this move, but it should also teach you to use that kind of thinking, to use those eyes when you are looking at a new move that you don't really have it analyzed. You've got to analyze these moves. You've got to figure out what the underlying geometry is. If you don't see the figure 8s, how are you going to understand what's going on? It just seems like chaotic movement, but it's not chaotic. It's not chaotic at all. It's 1, 2, 3, right? It's 3 versions of a figure 8 for 3 different purposes. And then you have to understand the purpose so that you understand how to do it, all right? What's the purpose of the first one? What's the purpose of the second one? What's the purpose of the third one? Or at least those are I've selected those purposes out of a menu of possible purposes. There are other things you could use those movements for, but those are like the major ones. So it gives you something to go with. Does all this make sense? Yes? Okay. That's the Shin Yi. Once you get the Shin Yi, now you can develop the Neigong. Right? All right? 3 different Neigong. Watch. Watch. Snap. 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 I put the blue on because it's going all the way around your body. Now, when we do the form, we don't do it that, we don't do the Fa Jin. This is the Fa Jin. Why? That's 3 Fa Jin. But if you do that all the way through the form, by the end of the form, you'll have to lay down for 20 minutes because you'll be exhausted. This form is about gaining energy, not expending energy. But you still have to know, if you really want to get this, you still need to know where the Fa Jin is. And if you know that, you don't have to execute it. You just set it up so that you could execute it. One, no Fa Jin. 2, no Fa Jin. 3, no Fa Jin. Oh, so gentle, right? Yes, Catherine, good. Guys, I got to tell you, and you may know this because you may have taken other Tai Chi classes, or go take some Tai Chi classes somewhere else. You won't get this. What they'll do is they'll just teach you the outer choreography without any understanding of what's going on inside, either mentally or energetically. What's going on mentally is your Shin Yi. What's going on energetically is your Neigong. That's what Tai Chi is, not the outer choreography. Oh, they wouldn't even do it as well as me. They would just sort of go like this. All right, let's move on to move number 7. In a sense, you're going to get out of your own way. You're going to get out of your own way. It's considered a retreat. Someone's pressing you. Someone's pressing in on you. One real simple solution, if you've got room, is just retreat. Right? But when you retreat, in a certain sense, you get out of your own way. And you can use a block then. Maybe they're trying to grab you or they're trying to hit you. You're going to use a block. You're just going to block them. It's very simple. Let me do it directly at you. Oh, it's a half a circle. Yes, it's not a straight line. It might be, but in certain circumstances, but in the form is half a circle. Why? Because it's coming from here. And what's happening is this is going in half a circle. Boom. Right? Watch. Now, the nice thing about being in a human body is there's two of you. There's the right side of you and there's the left side of you. In a sense, it's like having two people. So I'm going to act defensively with the right side, and at the same time, I'm going to act offensively with the left side. Oh, it's not really two different movements. It's really one movement. Now, there's a beat in there because there's a distance between your shoulders. There's a width to your core body. And depending on who you are, that width may be more or less, all right? For me, it's a lot more. So there's 1, 2. Yes, it's true, there's 1, 2, but it's still one movement. 1, 2. That's the retreat. 1, 2. What are you doing with this? Well, it could be another defensive move. So it could be 2 blocks. Block, block. Right? He's hitting at you once and then he hits at you again. So you block one and then you block the other. Or, which is what I like to think about it, the first side is yin. The second side is yang. So the first side is defensive, the second side is offensive. Block, hit. Block, hit. Block, hit. Now, when we do it in the form, it's slow. You don't worry about the fa jian. All you're doing is familiarizing yourself with this kind of motion. Walking back and doing this at the same time. You think, well, that's a simple idea, and it is. But if you were doing it in real life, it wouldn't be like clouds moving through the sky. It would be more like this. Block and then hit that guy right upside his head, right here. You could punch him, but just use the flat of your hand and hit him in the ear with the flat of your hand. Yeah. Jill, you got the right idea. All right. There are many, many people in the world who desperately need to be slapped upside the head. So you can help them compassionately. All right. So the first movement is like that when you are retreating. The second movement is like that when you are advancing. Retreat, block, hit. Advance, block, hit. It's just the same thing 2 times. One time you're retreating, the next time you're advancing. Retreat, block, hit. Advance, block, hit. Very simple. All right. Now, let me change the focus. This will be the last thing for today. Watch the footwork. I'm not even going to do the hands. One, two, three, right back where you began. One, two, three. It's a triangle. One, two, three. One, two, three. All right. Retreat, advance, kick, and step forward. All right. It's a triangle. Retreat, lock, hit. Advance, block, hit. Kick and push. Okay, Jill, let me see you do it.
Just the footwork or hands?
Whole thing. Back up a little bit so I can see your feet. Good.
Let's see.
Good. All right. When the hands go out, they go out. One goes out from the center, well, the other goes out from the side at 45 degrees, right over your knee. Boom. All right. Catherine, let me see you do it. Good. All right, next week we will continue with this movement, get this movement worked out, and maybe move on to the next movement too. All right. So in the meantime, practice. Look at the recordings if you need to, and practice. All right, guys. See you next time. Ciao.
Thank you.